Hey there. In this video, I'm going to cover various registrations process that we have in Probench. This will help you to know what kind of registration process suits your uh, benchmarking or assessment process. And Probench can be configured accordingly means through all these four processes. These are the type of registration process. So the first uh, type of registration process is company code, using company code. So in this particular uh, type of registration, uh, user will have to use the company code that is sent to them in their invitations, or that they have received in their invitations. Normally, the ProBench managers invite the companies to participate in their benchmark or assessment. So during that email or an invitation process, each company receives an individual company code or a unique company code. The users of that company can use that company code in their email to register into the system and get associated with a particular company. So, uh, so the company code that the users use at the time of registration determines uh, uh, which company they are associated with, and the responses that they would submit would be associated with which company. So this is the way we use the company code, or this is one type of registration process. The second type of registration process is using company name. In this process, there is no invitation or anything of that sort sent to the companies. Uh, or like even though the invitations are sent, they are not sent through the company code. So any user from any company, irrespective whether they have received an invitation or not, uh, would be able to use this registration process, use the company name. So if a company is already part of the system or already feeded in the system, then that particular means as they type the name of the company, uh, the name automatically appears and they can select from the companies already existing. Or like if it's a completely new company and is not part of the system, then they can add a new means whenever they register, a new company is added to the system, and an email is sent to the administrators saying that this user from this new company has been registered. Do you want to approve uh, this user? So that's the whole process, and then administrator approves that user, and then user can get into the system or log in into the system. So this is the second type, using the company name. So the third type of registration is using company code or company name. This is like in ProBench terms, it is both. So it's completely like both the options like one and two are available for this type of registration process. There is a question in the registration form which says like, do you have company code? If the user selects yes, then they have to enter the company code. If the user selects no, then they can use their company name. So they can also register using a company name, or add a completely new company if it is not part of the system. In this third process, it is both using company code or company name. So user has that uh, uh, rights or advantage to choose which type of registration they want to go with. And the fourth and the final registration process is basically to bypass the complete registration process. So in this process, whenever a company is added to the system or added to Probench, the company is assigned a username and password. So a company is assigned a username and password and not the company's users. So so when this registration process is used, then there is uh, no way for the company's user to register themselves. So what they have to do is they have to use the registration and password provided to them in the registration process, or sorry, in the invitation, and like all the users would have to use the same login credentials. So for the above three registration process, that is like company code, company name, and the third one, user means multiple users from the same company can register and have their own usernames and passwords. But in case of the fourth one, multiple users cannot register to the system, and hence they would only have a registration username and password that was provided to them in the invitation email. So so like completely bypassing the registration process, and they can directly go to the welcome page or the portal page using that username and password. So like now these are the three types. Now I just like to show a brief about how these registration processes or different registration processes can be set up easily by yourself. There's no need of any 73 bits intervention or Probench's intervention there. So the way to do it is, once you log in as a manager, what you need to do is go to setup and go to configurations. So this should give you the list of all the configurations, and here you can search for registration. So registration would basically take you can search for registration process. So in the registration process, you can select. So there are three things that you can select, or three different types. So one is the name. Okay, when I choose name, it is let me show you like as a demo. So I have selected it as name. So in the registration process, I would get, so you see, I get a company name here. Okay, so I can enter the company name, and if I use say 73 bit, so all the companies that start with 73 bit, I got the list of all the companies, and I can select one of them. Okay, and I can select which group I want to assign to that, but that's a different thing. So I can have an email address, login password, and then select the company name. Okay, I can also add a new company name. So this is by using the registration process called as name. The next one I would use is the code. Okay, so I'll click on update. So now when I do the code, so the users would see on the registration process their first name, last name, email, password, etc. And the last field is called as the company code. Okay, so like the screen completely changed, and from company name it is now displaying company code. So it is expecting a company code which was sent to the users in their invitation email. Okay, so this is the company code. And now when I use both, okay, uh, so when I use both, it would give me another set of options. So initial things would remain the same, the email and the password things. But the next part is like, is your company already registered? So when I say yes, that means already would have a company code because I am already registered company. So I have to use that same company code similar to what I am seeing here. So that will be one company code assigned to me, and I would be having it in my invitation email. The second, if I say no, then it would ask for the company name and all the other information for the companies, because I would like to kind of enter all those details if I'm adding a new company, and then I can register. So these are the three types, the initial three types that I mentioned, whether it's using company code, company name, and both. Okay, so these are the last one, the bypass registration process. So it is handled using a different configuration altogether, which is called as bypass registration. So this is called bypass registration. So if I say yes, okay, or I enable this bypass registration. So when I say yes, it enables this bypass registration. So in this case, there is no registration screen required, or a link won't be appeared for the registration. The user would have to use a username and password given to the company. Okay, so as it mentions, if this configuration is enabled, the survey will be accessible to company on clicking a link where they will be able to bypass the complete registration process. So that's what this bypass registration process does. So this is how you can directly go to the setup and the configuration area in Probench to set up what kind of registration process you would require. Okay, so these are the four types. There is one more configuration that I would like to cover here, and that is like is called as require email confirmation. Okay, so this require email confirmation. So this is the configuration that, like as it's mentioned here, if this configuration is set to enabled, a confirmation email will be sent to the user at the time of registration with a unique confirmation code. So this is in case when you want that whatever email address the user enters should be a valid email address, and you want to be 100% sure about it, because like there are some security reasons when uh, uh, a random user would come to the site and try to enter or register using their email address which does not exist at all. So this email confirmation would give you a level of security where only a legitimate user with a legitimate email address would be able to register to the system. Okay, so that means this is because like if they have legitimate email, only then they'll receive the confirmation email. So and the confirmation email would have a link to using which they would then continue the process. So this is an very important security addition in case you want to have uh, a confirmation or a legitimate user security settings. Okay, so this would really help you in that case. So hopefully this gave you a good overview of what are the different registration processes that are available in Province. I have created videos for each of these registration processes individually. So I'll drop the link in the description box below for each of the registration process, which would help you to further understand in details each of the registration process. All right. Thank you so much. And if you have any further questions about the registration process, please feel free to email us at support@73bit.com. Happy to help you. Thank you so much for your time. Bye bye. Take care.